Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of the Zombie Talk podcast. Hello, everybody. Hi there's. I am Tad, and I bet many of you are very surprised that I would be doing this right now after what I did yesterday, but guess what? Here I am, and I am doing it. So, ha! Joke's on you, doubters. Suck on my balls. No, I'm just kidding. But we do have a special guest tonight. Well, first of all, for those that don't know, this is a weekly thing that I do here on Zombchicken. It's a podcast style show where you don't take it seriously, and we mix in character with out of character all the time. So it's not a big deal, and it's nothing too serial. But this is the 12th one that I've done, and everyone that listens to it seems to really enjoy it. So that's lets me know that I should continue to do it if people continue to watch it every Monday night. But this is, as I said, the 12th one. All of the previous 11 episodes of the podcast can be found by going to zombspawn.com, by the way. They all just recently were re-added to our website, and you can find them through our new forums, which will direct you to where they are at on the website. So, that all being said, yes, I am here. I may not be 100%, but I am here. I feel better than I did at the end of midnight this morning. But without further ado, let's go ahead and unveil this week's guest on the Zombie Talk podcast. Mr. Guest, why don't you say hello to the world and to everyone listening and let them know who you are?
Hello, world. I'm Domino, and I'm better than all of you.
Whoa. Jeez, you're like right out of the gate, you're like really wanting to get the heel heat going, right?
I mean, you gotta start strong and finish strong, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And everyone can hear the honest man Fine, right? Just letting, just getting that out there before we go all out into this thing. Just our live viewers, just give me a yes. Yes, I can hear him. And then that'll be my indication that we can continue. Okay, we got it loud and clear. Awesome. All right, so better than all of you. Wow. Do you honestly believe that, or are you just playing with the fans?
I honestly 100% totally believe that.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty. So, are you gonna use that philosophy tomorrow night in the Ground Zero match, or have you decided whether you're actually gonna be in it or not?
I mean, I haven't exactly decided yet. I guess that's just going to be a toss-up when tomorrow comes. However, if I do decide I'm going to be in it, I'm totally going to use that philosophy for tomorrow because I'm better than everybody in the Ground Zero match also.
So, for a guy that's come in runner up the past 2 years, and he's also featured on the banner of the show, and of course I'm talking about Grim. You would also say that to him as well?
Of course I'd say it to Graham. I mean, there's a reason he's the runner-up 2 years in a row. He's just not good enough to be the winner.
Oh my. Wow, that's pretty intense. Wow, and I think Grim is hearing this right now. So wow, shots fired, shots fired, man down. We've got a turtle down. But yeah, all right, there you go. So he hasn't decided yet whether he's going to be in the Ground Zero tomorrow night or not. But if he does, look out. He's better than all of you, and he wants to win it. So, Zombie Talk Podcast. How does that name sound cool to you, or is it kind of cheesy?
It sounds good. I like the name. I like the name a lot. It doesn't sound cheesy at all. It flows because I mean, it's you're talking about things. It says the name of the group. You're talking. You're having a talk, a discussion. So zombie talk. I like it.
All right. So we have yet another guest of the show who says that he likes the name. Awesome. Awesome. Wait a minute. Hold on. Gil, are you there?
Yeah, why?
Have we ever had a girl on the show yet?
No, I don't believe so, no.
Oh my. Okay. The reason why I thought of that was because I said another guy said that, and then I had to stop for a minute and think, oh, we might have had a girl, so I might have offended whoever it was. But we haven't had a girl on the show yet, so that's okay. I didn't offend anybody. Although if you ask Domino, he would probably tell me that, um, yes, we have had girls on the show, everybody except him, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially Trent Rain.
Oh, whoa. Wow, I'm sure when Trent Rain hears this, he might have a rebuttal on that. Are you afraid of Trent Rain at all?
I wasn't afraid of Trent Rain when I beat him, and I'm not afraid of Trent Rain now.
Wow. Oh my. I'm not sure if I can handle all these shots fired right now. Ooh. Not after what I put myself through 24 hours and then I come to this. Jeez. This is like I'm getting grounded and pounded here. So, wow. I better be expecting for the rest of this podcast, I guess. So, all right. So you haven't decided yet whether you're going to be in Ground Zero. Well, time's a ticking. We're like 24 hours out. So, if you do enter Ground Zero, and let's just say for podcast sake that you actually end up winning, answer me this question. Obviously, when you win Ground Zero, you get to decide which champion you get to face at Night of the Dead in April. Would you go after the now champion Big D, or would you change it up a bit and go over to Livewire and take out the right now champion Outlaw?
That's a good question. something that I've actually discussed with people before. And I've held a world title before, so if anything, I've messed around with the idea of going and kicking Outlaw's ass, since apparently nobody else can do it. Just to say I've held the Fed title, and then at that point I've held them both. But at the same time, Big D is constantly ducking and dodging. I mean, did you hear the list of people he named off last week to say who deserved the title shot? I mean, seriously. He named Razor Sharp, and he really hasn't done shit since he crossed brands anyway. So he's ducking me. At this point, if I do win, he can't anymore.
Wow. Yeah, but you have a point though. You do have a point, sir, when you say that no one on Livewire is able to beat Outlaw, and especially if he wins that 6-man match tomorrow night, where he has 5 challengers in the same match. If he's able to retain the title at that point, then whoever wins Ground Zero tomorrow night might have to really take that into consideration, because when you're throwing 5 challengers at a champion and the champion still emerges out as the champ, okay, we might have some issues here. So, that's something for the Ground Zero winner to possibly consider if they win. But, of course, it is their decision in the long run.
That match goes anyway, according to the match that we had in the 6-pack challenge, then he's going to be, what was he, the champ was the last person in the match before I beat him. So if it goes about that way, then, he has a great shot of retaining.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that Outlaw's time is done, and everyone seems to have their favorites, and none of them seem to be Outlaw. Except, I guess if you ask you would probably say Outlaw's going to retain. Me, myself, I can't remember what I said when Gil first put it in review. I had a hunch. I think I said watch out for Raji. I think that's what I said, if I remember.
You did.
Yeah, so I've kind of got a deal on Raji right now. I think that he may surprise and shock everybody tomorrow night, and he may emerge victorious as the new champ. But I think what I also said is I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Outlaw retained.
To have a fair and uncruel opinion about it, I wouldn't really be surprised if Outlaw didn't make it to the end. Like if he was one of the first or 1 or 2 people eliminated from the match, and you guarantee the champ at that point.
Right. Yeah. So it's in the benefit of the 5 challengers that are in this match tomorrow night to go in and try to get Outlaw out as quickly as possible, and maybe even team up together. And that's what Jarek and Raji have been alluding to the past couple weeks, is start some sort of alliance and try to get Outlaw out. But if we know Raji, and some of us know him pretty good, you can't really trust his words as far as you can throw him. Unlike you, where you are the honest man, and everything you say is pure truth, right?
Exactly. I mean, why lie about things? If I say I'm going to kick your ass, I'm going to do it. If you come to me and say, hey, did you say this? Yeah, I said it. What are you going to do about it?
All right, so there's kind of an elephant in the room right now, and I'm not talking about Gil. Obviously, you're the guest of tonight's Zombie Talk podcast, and obviously you were the one that ended the horrific reign that was Tad Peters as the world champion. You have any thoughts about you doing that?
Yeah, I did do that. It was about time it happened. I mean, I felt slighted when he just snuck in the back door and won it on the same night that I lost. It was sort of a slap in the face, Like you mentioned, not trusting Raji, but considering we were on the same side at the time, at that point I started thinking, can I really trust him? And obviously he proved that I couldn't when he decided to cash in on Big D and take the title and turn us all in the first place. So, I felt a bit salty after that, but ultimately, throughout his mind tricks and trying to get me to come over to his side, I ultimately won the title, even though I had to go through a bunch of other losers who decided they wanted to weasel their way into my match.
Yeah, and it was the reason of you that Tad Peters has not been booked for almost a year. So, what, Mr. Honest Man, what would you have to say about that? Because since that match where you beat Tad Peters, he hasn't been seen since, other than one promo after that.
Well, it's the old adage story of the bully. He wants to be big and bad, or thinks he's big and bad, till he comes up against somebody bigger and badder than he is, and now he wants to take his ball and run home, and you never see him again.
Ooh, ouch. I think I just got Western sizzled. What do you think, Gil?
I'm in the middle of homework, and I think you got sizzled.
What kind of homework?
Java.
Java?
Yeah, it's programming language.
Just ask Duke Dice questions. He knows all about coffee.
He also knows about losing.
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna have some fun with some word association with you later in the podcast. But before we get to that, let's talk about how you first got started. Obviously, you started back in the chat days. Were you in any iteration of RCWF or anything like that, or did you start in NGPW, or where did you what fed you, if you can remember, did you first start in the chat era?
I believe it was NGPW, and then it moved later into RCWF, I think it was. But, I came in, it's crazy how I found it in the first place. Like, I was just new to everything, and, like, at first I didn't even know what, like, role-playing was at first. So I got online, and you click chat now and things like that, so I was getting put into, like, pool party and crap like that. And so there's this one name that I'm always going to remember. It was some girl named, like, 40N8891. It's crazy that I still remember her name today, 3 years ago. So, we'd go on pool party, and we just start shit in there about how, she was my girlfriend, and she was pregnant, and I left her, and shit like that. And everybody in pool party would be like, oh my god, you're such a jerk, you asshole. And, I didn't care. And so, we joke about that back and forth, back and forth. We do it, like, every day. And then from that, I'm thinking, like, it's just sort of cool. So I moved on from there to, like, to Brotherhood of the Fae, which was some weird crap. And then, from there, I saw the room one day, and I went in. And I'm thinking, like, what is this? I think at the time, you were recruiting or something. Somebody told me about it. I got some site. I looked it over. I liked wrestling. I liked that. So I figured, like, hey, why not do it? And that was how I started.
And then your screen name then was Exalted Plague, right?
Yeah, my screen, I had two. It was Exalted Plague when I came back, and the first time, I think it was like Ice Master 2201 or like Joker 1228731 or something like that.
Yeah, so when a lot of people, when they, the topic of you gets brought up, many people don't realize that you actually were part of the old chat era. And when I decided to come to live streaming to continue things, you actually came over with us. A lot of people think that, oh, you just came all along during the Twitch times, but no, you actually spent a couple years in the chat days before we moved over to all this.
I did, and also I was role playing like 2 weeks ago, and I look over to the side of the chat, and Rainer Crimson came in.
Oh yeah, where were you at? What room?
I was in like some Nexus recruit storyline room or whatever, and he just popped in, and I looked like, holy shit, it's Rainer Crimson, but he didn't stay very long. He left.
Oh yeah, he would be one of those people that I would consider stuck in the yesteryear, if that makes any sense. Like when we crossed over, and I've touched on this before in my podcast with Mark and Nate and Trent, the guys that were there during the latter days of it, is that, RCWF was rolling pay-per-views with 8 viewers, chat viewers at that time. And then that's when we decided, okay, This pond is dried up. The fish are gone. We need if we're gonna continue to do this. I'm not gonna waste my time and everybody else's time. And maybe it's a bit of my ego. I don't know, but I kind of felt like, why am I doing pay-per-views and chat events with 8 viewers? That's unheard of compared to what I used to draw in, which was, in my heyday in the RCWF popularity in the prime. I mean, we were having to do 2 private rooms at the same time to fit everybody in there. And we resorted to 8 people in a private room. Come on.
Yeah, it was tough to get in a room at one point. You're fucking just like clicking the link, and you can't get in.
Yeah, the dreaded this chat is full at max capacity thing message was the message of doom for many people for many years because it was just so crammed full of people. And then, at the end, when we're only able to get 8 different screen names in a chat, it's like, all right, this is, I mean, it's been fun, but we need to figure out another way to carry this out. So then the whole YouTube thing started, and then I found out about the live stream, and that's how we carried over and crossed over into this, what it is today, for what it has been the past 7 or so years since I started. And anyway, back to my point about people who are stuck in the yesteryears. Someone like that who still hangs around the chats and stuff, but never crossed over with us, with everybody else. That's who I would consider still stuck in the yesteryears. Like, I guess they just never accepted that was the direction it was really going, and so they continue to stay there in hopes that the old days will return. And yeah, we're 7 years into live streaming now, and yeah, I don't think it's going to be coming back anytime soon. But switching over to live streaming to do all this, I would consider probably the best decision I've ever made in doing eFeds, because look around you now, 7 years in. I keep saying 7 years. I hope it's 7 years. I started at the end of '08, early '09, I believe, or maybe it was late '09 or mid no. Either way, but look around you now and look at all the people that have joined since we switched to live streaming. The people we know now that are part of the core community of the eFed, the people from all the different countries and continents around the world now that are involved. You never used to get that in the chat days. I mean, you were hard pressed to find somebody from Canada in the chat days. I think I only met like one person that was in RCWF in the chat days that was from Canada. But then you start doing this live streaming, and here now we have like 7 or 8 people from England. We've got like 10 people from Canada. I mean, come on. It's just great. But I kind of feel sorry for those people that kind of stuck in the chat days and never really understood that that's the next step, the next phase of the evolution of what RCWF was all about, was switching over to live streaming. They just never accepted that, and so now they're just kind of stuck in limbo in the whole chat thing. And it's just, I mean, at least the last time I looked, and I still have the legit AOL. I still have legit AOL and an account and stuff, but I haven't been to the chats in a long time. The last time I looked, it was really dried up. Is that what you said? You were there not too long ago. Is that still what's happening? I mean, I could be wrong here. Maybe there's a resurgence, but
It's still what's happening. Like a lot of the rooms you saw, like the All Creatures Tavern and shit like that, and the Vampire Tavern, it's all gone. But you don't see as many like guilds as you do like just storylines now, and like it fluctuates. Like sometimes you go in there because like RP like every day. Sometimes you go in there and it's like next to nothing, but now you're starting to go in there and you're starting to see like some of the same rooms and things like that. But as like in terms of you talking about being stuck in a yesteryear, about a month or 2 back, I was on and somebody had a wrestling chat open. Like they were recruiting for their chat-based wrestling thing, and I forget whether it was on chat or if it was done on forums, but it wasn't done through the game and live streaming. So, I messaged him, I asked him what it was about, he told me. So then I told him about this or whatever. And so he gave me some, like, excuse about how he didn't like doing it that way. He would rather type his things out and do things like that. And it was really stupid and weird.
Yeah, and you know, after having doing it from 1997 till when I said, "All right, the pond is dried" in 2008 or whatever. So you're looking at like 11 years that I did that in my life. I spent doing chat events, putting them on and stuff. Uh, I understand where people get the disconnect is I don't have as much, um, you know, say in what happens in my matches. I don't have the freedom to be able to do this or that, and I understand that. Um, and I know where people are coming from on that. But you got to look. You have to kind of take a little sacrifice out of that to look at the overall scheme of things and realize, wow, this is just an overall better format. And then that's where I've kept the Rumble match once a year. I've kept that chat. I wouldn't ever think about making Ground Zero the Royal Rumble in the game because we all know the first half of the match. There's no hopes of anyone in that first half of the match ever winning it because of the game. That's not going to happen. But in the chat, you get the freedom to do what you want and all that. I haven't turned my back on the chat days. I still keep it there, and then we do the occasional chat matches every once in a while. So I haven't forgotten about it, and I haven't turned my back on it. It's just I realize that the time of making that a weekly thing is over. I'm much older now. I'll be 30 this year. I can't see myself being 30 years old doing that like I was when I was a kid. In fact, the topic of me making fun of another eFed owner back when I was little, I say little, like 17, 18, 16, around there, maybe younger than that. I made fun of a guy who was 30, who was married, who had 2 kids, that was doing a weekly chat back when I was that young. So now I'm looking at myself, I'm going, well, I'm the same age as what that guy was when he used to do them. I would be pretty much a hypocrite if I was doing that at this time of my life. And that's not the reason why I'm not doing it, but you get what I'm saying. It's like once you cross a certain threshold and you've pretty much done everything there is to do from a wrestler role-playing standpoint and an eFed owner standpoint in that, and then you see your events that are supposed to be huge events dwindle down to only 8 people showing up. It's like, all right, I can see the writing on the wall here. So then I stepped over to the live streaming, and then, the rest is history. You see how many people have come along now because of Justin TV, because of Twitch TV, all the new and fresh faces that we continue to get. This is, honestly, this has been the best thing that has ever happened. And it may not be the best for a lot of people. A lot of the freedom is cut out. And yeah, you're relying on the game to do your matches for you. And I guess just some people can't handle that. But when you look at everything else, all the other positives that happens because of this, I mean, for example, and you would agree with me, sitting there from a start time of 7 p.m. till 5 a.m. in a normal chat event to have one match, no, you're not having to do that anymore. Don't you agree with that? The time span of a chat event compared to what we're doing now. I mean, Contagion is done in what, an hour and 30 minutes? And then you have so much more storyline content, and you have, 5 matches on one brand in the span of an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, if you take into consideration the fact that when it is story mode, you have the cutscenes in between the matches on all the shows, and you're still doing at this point Shimmer, Contagion, and Livewire. We're done nowadays before we're even done with half the show in the chat matches.
Yeah, the average video that I upload to YouTube once it's all done is around 5 hours. So it takes me on average, give or take, about 5 hours to do Shimmer, Contagion, and Livewire. It's a 5-hour show. And we usually go anywhere between 3 to 7 matches on a brand, so let's just say 5. That's 10 matches on Contagion and Livewire, plus another 3 or so on Shimmer. That's 13 matches, plus all the backstage segments and all this and all that. That's all fitted into a 5-hour video. So that's crazy to think that you can fit all of that. And I wouldn't even try to guess how much time 13 matches would take in one night in a chat. And that's if you just only have one ring. If you open up ring 2 or ring 3, whatever, which was also an idea that I originally came up with because we had so many people wanting matches. So I'm like, all right, let's just do 3 or 4 matches at the same time. Try to fit in as many people as possible. But if you remember, there was never any storyline stuff really that happened in the chat. It was just, all right, your match is next. All the storyline stuff had to be through the forums.
Yeah, and the matches would also depend on like how much people decided they were going to let their creativity take them. I mean, you have a match that could have realistically been done in like 25 minutes. Now this match is like an hour long because they're just like doing anything that comes to mind.
Right, and then you have to take into the fact how slow people were at typing, and you had a lot of slow descriptive typers that just dragged it on and on and on, and it gets just like, is this match over yet? Nope. And you would never have backstage stuff. You'd have like the random person in the backstage going, hey, I'm sitting in my locker room with my title belt watching this match. But you would never have backstage interviews. You wouldn't have like interactions amongst people in the backstage. I mean, you'd have the rare 2 people that IM'd each other and let's do this backstage kind of stuff like that, but never anything as official as you see now as part of the actual show.
Yeah, and like I sometimes felt like watching it that just description is good, but I felt that sometimes people could like out descript themselves. Like they'll do so much that at that point, by the time they're done, the shit doesn't even make sense.
You know what's crazy is that after all these years of doing that, still even as recent as December when we had that random chat event, I found that as many matches as I've been in, as many times as I've typed and done all that and done on the chat stuff for the 11 years that I did it, two AOL segments and a half is usually my cutoff point. It's crazy. It's weird. And anyone who's listening to this right now probably doesn't believe me when I say this, but if I'm going to be role-playing in a match, and let's just say, anything that I do, let's just say that, okay, I'm typing it out, all right, I'm going to go for a body slam. Almost every single time, I say 9 times out of 10, my post will be 2 whole AOL sections, because on AOL it cuts you off after a certain amount of text. It's usually 2 sections and a half for everything. For my entrance, for my moves, for my finisher. Now, it goes a little longer when I try to go for something really crazy, like some sort of finisher off the top rope through a table or, something like that. But my average, like 9 times out of 10 posts, is usually 2 segments and a half. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened. I guess my brain just... I've been doing it so long, for so many matches, typing the same stuff with different people and over the years, that my brain just got used to doing 2 sections and a half. And you may even see it tomorrow night in the Ground Zero match. Just keep this in mind tomorrow night. Just watch. It'll probably be 2 sections and a half for my stuff tomorrow night. Have you ever had any crazy stuff like that happen with you over the years that you did it? Like any habits or anything like that?
I always try to do at least like 2.5, 3, like you said. Because, I mean, if you're just getting straight to the point, I mean, it's not like an entrance where you're coming out and you have to do all these lights and shit and music or anything like that. It's not like a promo you're trying to write. You're just trying to kick his ass. I mean, like, some words you don't need to put in. If you get straight to the move, you can get it done like 2.5, 3 posts. But then you have some who'll do like 4 posts, and at the end of it, all he did was clothesline you. And it's like, dude, you took that long for that?
Yeah, and we kind of got into this in one of my earlier podcasts. I can't remember who it was now, though, but we talked a lot about the whole HPWF thing and how they felt that by doing like 10 posts, Like I don't know if this was exactly, maybe someone that's listening to this can correct me on it, but 10 posts was usually like, I can't remember if this was 100% accurate, but it was always my assumption that a certain amount of posts, if you did less than that, it was frowned upon. Like you had to do like 10 posts for everything. And if you did less than that, then it was like, okay, why are you being a noob? And I'm like sitting over here like, what? Really? I would never
I'm
be able to do this with this amount of people in the Fed.
I'm glad you brought that up because now I remember the stupid conversation I had with the dude who had his wrestling chat open. He said he wouldn't go to do the game because he felt that somebody who couldn't type as good as he could should beat him in the match. And that's another reason why like the multimedia age is good because I mean people all over the place like wrestling now. And doing it chat based the way we did, people in certain regions of the world couldn't possibly do that. And now they're in it, they can do their promos and they can still watch it on YouTube and things like that. But it's more fun for everybody because I don't necessarily feel that if you're doing 2.5 boxes and this person can only adequately do one, that should impact whether or not he should ever win simply because you're better at typing than he is.
And see, that's the level of elitism that I had to face back in the old days when I had RCWF and these other guys had their HPWF and their BECW and all this. It was all about elitism to them and how descriptive you could type, how long you could type, and all of this. And my argument was always, who cares? You can do 20 posts to do a clothesline. Good for you. You know how much time you wasted in everyone's lives to be able to do that? You probably just wasted 20 to 30 minutes of everyone's lives by watching you type out a clothesline for 20 posts. Congratulations, you did very well. And then the fact that they would always like uppity their nose towards people in RCW. And I'm not talking about all of them. It was certain people from the group, from the clique, and of their group that would do this, but none of them would ever defend us either. But I'm just saying, when the topic of RCWF came up, it was always, oh, those noobs, they can't even type. And we had good typers. We just didn't put emphasis on it. We didn't feel like you should sit there and wait 5 hours for a single match. And with the amount of people that we had on the roster, I mean, we're talking in our prime, RCWF had close to 300 people on the roster page. You can't have matches like that with that many people. It was bad enough.
It's all about being courteous to the people that had to go behind you. Like,
it's really, really kind of sad to hear this, that you just came across somebody right now in the year of 2015 that still sits there in a chat room like that, trying to start something up like that, and still has that mentality. Wow, I guess my description kind of fits it to a T. Stuck in the yesteryears. Those days are done.
yeah, I literally stopped responding after he said that. I'm just like, okay, and then I just left it alone.
Yeah. And then when you consider the general state of the Twitch TV popularity over the past, 7 years as well, how much it's grown, how much popularity in the gaming world that a website like this has, the possibilities of new and fresh people who love pro wrestling and love the video games joining, the possibilities are endless, really. So, I mean, it's really a win-win situation when you think about the future and getting new and fresh young people involved in the eFed and continuing that cycle of always having new people around the corner. Compared to someplace like AOL, chat, arts and entertainment, which dried up nearly 10 years ago.
And even if it's not completely dried up, it's dried up in the sense of people willing to do chat-based wrestling.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some other stuff on there that has somewhat continued its popularity since back in the heyday of 97 through 2000. I'm sure there's some chats out there that have like 30 people sitting in it or whatever. And that's great. I give them all the props in the world to be able to continue something like that. But, for the general consensus, a lot of people just moved on. A lot of people grew up. A lot of people got out of it. A lot of people just became adults in general. And I kind of guess I fit into that as well, as the fact that I was starting to get into my 20s, well into my 20s, and or coming along into my 20s, and I'm like, I don't want to be doing this when I'm 20 plus years old.
It's because a lot of people see the writing on the wall. Like, chat-based wrestling was drying up, so you moved to another outlet, and it was bigger. And it's the same with the RP and AOL. Like, if you go there, you figure like, okay, it's dried up, it's done. But no, people just moved on. Now they don't RP on AOL, they RP to AIM because the storylines and guilds that used to be on AOL in the chat rooms, they do on Facebook now. So just like they have their characters on there and they pick pictures from famous people or whatever, they do that on Facebook. They make Facebooks for these characters and they play through that. And so it's really the same thing as this. They just moved it to a different outlet because the previous one was no longer viable.
Right, and I can see that, and and I'm sure some people are like, wow, you're 30 years old and you're still doing all of this. But at least through this here on Twitch, you see people of all ages do this, and you see people make some bank off this. Not to say that I have ever had any intentions of making bank off this. Let's just put that out there right now. And anyone who knows me well enough knows that that's just a joke. But it's more of an acceptable way of doing it, really. Because everyone, the current fad now is, oh man, let's stream video games. It's popular. It's gaining popularity all around the world. I mean, just look how Twitch has grown. So for me not to have jumped on that way back when I did would have been really stupid. And I can't even imagine me right now sitting in a arts and entertainment trying to recruit people.
There's an AOL RP group that sometimes streams their AOL RP.
Yeah. But yeah, the times have definitely changed, and the popularity has shifted. And who's to say in another 10 years that Twitch will be like that, and then something else will come along, and it's just a constant. Who's to say? Nobody knows for sure. Who's to say in even 10 years that I'm even still doing this? I said that 10 years ago. Anyways, but now I have to ask this question. I think I might have asked it before, but I forgot the answer to it. But have you ever been a guest on any? And I'm even talking like back in the main event days. Were you ever on like a Duke and Gills or anything like that?
I did do Duke and Gill once.
Okay. I was just wondering because I could never really remember you ever coming on a show and doing stuff. But I guess if you did it once, then that's cool. Because I like to try to mix it up and bring new people on. Maybe some people that a lot of people have never heard of before on a show like this. People that are part of the community that you always see around, but no one ever really asks them to be on a show. I kind of try to throw that variety out there. So, and I definitely have to get a chick on next month because if we have never had a woman on the show, we gotta change that. But this is one thing that I've noticed: the bookings are just everyone wants to be on the podcast. It is a huge thing around here. Just everybody wants to be on it. I don't know why.
This podcast is great. Like, plenty of people tried to do it before. Like, I personally felt that the one Razor tried to do not that long ago, when he was asking people questions, wasn't bad either. And if he had stuck with it, it could have been big too.
Yeah, I like the hot seat stuff, and I also tried the text hot seat as well, and I was doing that for a while. But I just feel like being able to hear people's voices and do it, and just being able to chill out and relax and just have a casual chat for like an hour and a half or whatever, I think that's a lot better than just reading text on a website.
Yeah, it's a lot more personal that way.
Yeah. All right, so It's 2015. Uh, let's talk about your character in the wrestling eFed. Domino. You've always been known as Domino, unless I'm mistaken. That's been always been your character. Is there any like backstory or thought process that went into? What should the name of my wrestler be? I'll go with Domino. Is there any? What's the story with that?
Um, I just came up with it like out of the air. Like me and my cousins used to play the game all the time, and so we sat down and we were making characters one day, and I was just doing them, and I just figured like, okay, like the name was the last thing I did. I even saved him without a name because I didn't know what it was, and then I just went back in one day and just named him Domino.
So you didn't have like a wrestling game and you made a character and his name was Domino or anything like that. You just kind of thought of it right there.
because because I initially like made him an attacking partner, and I guess I was going for like a gamey sort of thing because the partner I made for him, his name was Ace, and so Ace and Domino were a team. I made them both, so it fit because they're both sort of like games or pieces from a game. So that's what I was doing, and I named him Domino because I named his partner first, and then I just named him Domino.
Okay, so this was actually on a video game, a created wrestler.
Yeah, on WWE.
Can you remember which game it was that you originally made?
Um, it might have been, I forgot. It was one of the early ones because it had Eddie Guerrero's face in it, and that's what I initially morphed his face completely out of. And
So something like
so
a Here
I
Comes the
forgot which game it
Pain
was.
or something like that.
It was on one of them for PlayStation, like one of these, like 2K, like 6 or 7 or something like that.
Oh, okay. All right. So originally was made on the game. How much differently has he looked compared to what he originally looked like? You already said that he used Eddie Guerrero's face, so that's. Was there any costume changes?
See, that's just the thing. Like, even despite him using Eddie Guerrero's face as a base, I completely changed it to the fact that after the fact, it didn't look like Eddie Guerrero at all. Like, I think the look that I gave you when I first came back and I uploaded a call and he was wearing like white and red pants or whatever, that's the one that I had on my game.
So he had white and red trunks, and they were all the way. They were like pants, wrestling tights.
Yeah, they were pants.
Wow. And you transferred that look over into the chat days? You used that same exact look, or did you change it up?
Oh, the look that I had in the chat days was that one that I was using. And then he came here and he was using that one for a bit. And then he buffed up through means that I'm not gonna mention. But he buffed up. He got the blue and the black.
And then he kind of resorted to using the short black trunks ever since. And now that he's kind of known for that at this rate.
Blackish tights.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
And then he started teaming with Mark.
We might be losing you. I don't know. You
I'm
there?
right here. What'd you say?
We're getting a little
Yeah, I'm
bit of
here.
static.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, you're better now. All right.
All right, yeah, and it's like I still like the look. So at no point during the point he was changing did I ever think like, oh, I don't like this look. I loved all the looks.
Yeah, you mentioned I heard you through the static talk about Marcus Daniels. Did you ever think that those two characters would ever interact like the way they have?
Way they have recently.
Well, just in general, like you guys started as an alliance, then you kind of here recently kind of switched it up and kind of were enemies there for a while. But I mean, at any point throughout the process of ever doing that, did you ever think that the Domino character would ever be in any story related to Marcus Daniels to begin with?
Initially, I didn't. And like at the time when the thing was going on with Caesar, and I was just thinking of somebody that's like, okay, I need to figure out somebody that I could use to fight them with. And he had a badge, and I was like, oh, he's fucking huge. Let me pick him. And that's when I brought it to you. And then it was initially just for that match that I was like, oh, hey, you guys fight him. And then from there, it just snowballed after that. And then we were constantly teamed together, which wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, and then that's really what started the whole Domino is, part of the corporate guys, and then he was always pretty much a heel for the whole duration as a
Yeah, and
result
I
of that.
remember you telling me that, like, I remember you telling me when I initially got changed that he was being changed to look like he should be walking around with Marcus Daniels, and that's when the first change happened with the blue and black tights and the jacket and the sunglasses and things like that.
Right. And then he continued to morph, and now many people would call Domino's attire in the game now kind of generic, but really, I mean, I can see where that's coming from because he just wears the simple trunks, but he's not really about wearing the flash and the pizzazz. He's more about walking out there and doing the business, and that's the way I have always envisioned Domino. He wouldn't want to wear trunks that are full of colors and rainbows and all this and crazy designs. He just slaps some trunks on and goes out there and beats people down. Is that kind of accurate, or is that totally off from what you had envisioned your character?
That is completely accurate. Like, I mean, yeah, it's just black trunks and black boots, or blue trunks and boots. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, any flash or pizzazz that you have should be done in the ring. It shouldn't be what you're wearing out to the ring. If you could wear the loudest uniform to the ring and be the quietest piece of crap
Right, exactly. Because you see all sorts of shapes and colors and things, and
in it.
in
With,
cues.
so
Oh,
you
go ahead.
go out there, you do your thing, and that's it. Like,
We
something
got
that they would consider bland works for other people.
right.
Did you
Just
get
yeah, you're cutting in and out just a little bit. Whatever you're doing now, it's back again.
okay, is it good now?
Yeah, you're good now, at least so far. All right, so the domino effect. Originally, that move was a I don't exactly know exactly what that move was originally, but it was transformed into a creative finisher, and obviously creative finishers have been stunted. So now here recently has been changed into a power bomb. What was that move originally when you first came up with it?
So when I first came up with it, you put them through the leg like you're setting up for a power bomb. Then you lift them up in like a razor's edge hold, and you just spin them around. I just like released them into the air, and I only picked it because like in a rare time that I watched TNA, James Storm did it, and it was the Eye of the Storm, and I thought like, oh, that shit looks cool as fuck. So let me pick it. And I went into the game and tried to do it, tried to make it, and it worked. So that's why I picked it.
Oh, okay, so your original move was actually what the creative finisher was for a long time.
Yeah, and then they nerfed it to crap, and that one year, he would hit like 20 of them and still not win the match.
Okay, because I had never really knew what the original concept of the domino effect was, but now that you told me that it is, I must have taken that from you and then just always used it as finisher and just forgot that that was the actual finisher. So that's cool. That's cool. See, this just goes to show that even in video game EFED like this, you can stay true to your own character's design. All right, so let's see. Let's kind of change things up a little bit, and let's talk about. And this is something that I've been wanting to ask you ever since I knew that you're going to be on the podcast. I take it you do remember the bouts we had on Call of Duty against Payback Games, right?
Yes, I do.
All right. So I was pretty outspoken and pretty, trash talking them quite a bit. But I would say when the mics turned on Xbox Live, that I got uh, cocky, out cockied by you, and you seem to really call out sweetness a lot. Was there a game plan behind that, or were you trying to throw her and the rest of her team off guard, or what was the deal with that?
I was never trying to throw her off guard, or there wasn't any game plan. It's just that, you know, you know how Superman steps into the phone booth and Clark Kent steps in and out steps Superman, and I start playing Call of Duty, and then I just become like a complete piece of shit.
Yeah, because going in, I would type it out, or I would be streaming, and it's like, all right, it's time for the Call of Duty team versus team, and I'd throw it out there, and be like, if PBG can survive against our squad before it's all said and done, that'd be all right. But you guys, if you want to still show up, that's cool. And everyone would be like, ha ha ha, that's pretty funny, ha ha. And then if they would, of course, be really laughing because they're like a freaking pro team going against a bunch of noobs like us that have never played with each other before in our lives. And so they're just kind of laughing about it. But then we turn the mics on in game, and then here you are. You're like, yeah, you suck my balls and this and this. And it's like, holy shit, where did this guy come from? And then I started being more quiet at that rate because I was trying to focus and not die 50 times, but I still died 50 times. But is that like something that you really like to do? Is Call of Duty kind of like your thing when you turn the video games on?
Beat that?
I asked, is obviously you're pretty hardcore about Call of Duty. So I was asking, is like when you have like free time and you're able to play games and stuff, since we are Zomspawn here, technically we're all about video games. Figured I'd throw this out there. What kind of games do you really like to play? I'm assuming Call of Duty is one of them.
Yeah, I play Call of Duty. I play the 2K NBA. I play Minecraft a lot. Um, I have Halo now that I'm trying to get into. I like Elder Scrolls, Dragon Age, things like that.
All right, and you're pretty hardcore in Call of Duty multiplayer, I'm assuming. You just broke.
Yeah, I get it all the time. Like whenever
You're breaking
whenever
in
Call
and
of Duty
out.
comes
Just letting you know.
whenever Call of Duty comes out, I normally pick it up day one. I have it pre-ordered like a couple months in advance.
Okay. Which one has been your favorite in terms of multiplayer goes?
I'm probably gonna go with Call of Duty 4.
Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one too. I like the campaign on that one. All right, that's cool.
After that,
Oh, go ahead.
after that, I'm gonna go with Call of Duty 3. Like a lot of people didn't like Call of Duty 3, but I loved it.
I didn't like Call of Duty 3 just for the simple fact that the online achievements were just so ridiculous. You had to get general rank online, and people started resorting to doing the flag glitch, where you throw the flag and capture it over and over and over again, and it just got boring, and I didn't even want to even attempt it. So because of that, because of achievements, I totally avoided Call of Duty 3 like the plague. I did beat it once on my Tad Peters account, but then I never got the 1,000 gamer score on it because of how ludicrous the online achievements were. But of course, we're talking at a time when I was truly an achievement whore.
Yeah, I never tried to get the online ones there because it took too long for people to get in and they weren't readying up. So I really just like searched for like not local matches, but like just regular matches that weren't ranked. And those are fun. I mean, you pull out like the bazooka and the melee was one hit kill, so you just like swing it around and smack somebody and they go flying like halfway across the screen.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna ask you something else, and I just I just lost it. Oh, right. Your username right now, and over the past couple years, I guess, you've changed from Guppy to Stupid Guppy to IO Guppy. Okay, what's the deal with guppies? Do you like guppies or something? What's happening here?
Yeah, I had guppies before, and one of them died because like I guess it wasn't swimming, and so that's where like the stupid guppy came from on my gamer tag. And so like I buy them all the time because I just like how they look, but that's where it came from.
All right, because that was something that I've never really asked you, but now that I have you here, I had to ask because that's such a strange name to have for someone that has a character like someone like a Domino to have a name like Guppy. It's like okay, there's got to be some sort of story behind this.
Yeah, that was it, the stupid fish. And so it just stuck from that point. I used it when I was trying to figure out what to do, and from there I just constantly use it for like names whenever I sign up for something.
All right, let's see here. Let's. I'm gonna go ahead and check out our forum here and go to our questions that people left for you here on the podcast. And for those of you that actually did leave questions, and it looks like it was Gil and Graham. Thank you for leaving your questions. And again, anyone that's listening to this right now, you can always go to the forums.
Hello?
And, yes, I can hear you. You can always leave your questions for the next upcoming podcast in our forums. And I do appreciate anyone uh, who always does leave your questions. So thank you for that. That being said, hopefully we're having a little bit of issues with raid call right now, but hopefully we can get through this. Gil was the first one to ask questions for Domino here on the podcast, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to him and let him ask his questions to Domino right now.
Okay, Domino, if you can hear me, what has been your favorite title win, partner, and moment that didn't involve the Domino character?
My favorite title win had to be my first one when I won it from Trent. Because I was completely on the fence about like actually doing it. I believe that year somebody else had won it also. I forgot who it was. It might have been Blood Rose or whatever. And she cashed hers in like 2 weeks after it, and she completely bombed. And so I'm thinking like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I don't want to do it. I'm gonna lose. And then I just figured like it doesn't matter whether I do it now or do it later. If I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose. So I might as well just do it now. And I did it, and it worked out. My favorite partner. My favorite partner had to be Marcus Daniels. I mean, I haven't had many partners because I normally go at it alone. We kicked a lot of butt when we were partners. At times I felt, that maybe, we should have got the tag shot. We kicked enough butt to do it. But, I mean, hey, if we had done that, things could have went a completely different way for me. So I'm glad things worked out how they did. But he was still one of my best partners. And something that didn't involve the Domino character. Uh, I don't necessarily think I have a favorite moment that doesn't involve me, but I do have a favorite moment that does involve me, but someone else also. I sort of felt that, with the way the character dislikes Eddie Cool and how they were constantly going back and forth with one another, that the match they had, that, he finally won the title was just like capping it off. He finally got what he was searching for. It was against Domino. It was a great match. So that was probably like one of my better moments where I didn't win, but he did, and it was still a great moment.
Can you actually play the game Dominoes?
I do play the game Dominoes, yes.
do you watch the other shows besides Contagion?
I'm
So
not
in this
very
case,
good at it because where it's like fans like that. Can you repeat that, Gil?
okay. Do you watch the other shows besides Contagion? So in this case, Shimmer and Livefire and Next Gen, if it ever gets off, don't count on it. And if so, what do you think of them?
I do watch the other shows. When I come in, I normally watch them all from start to finish. I think they're all good. Shimmer's just getting off the ground. I like seeing some of the, newer, some of the original, well, not, some of our characters in Shimmer mixed with some people that are actually women's wrestlers in Shimmer. So I think that's a great thing. And Livewire I like also. It's interesting to see who's finally gonna topple Outlaw and things like that. I like the general back and forth with a lot of characters. They have great matches. So I like watching all the shows, not just Contagion.
Who do you think the best GM is right now? Rita, Rave, or Rom? Or do you hate all of them equally?
I dislike all of them equally, but because I've generally, in the character, has generally had a closer relationship with one, I guess I just dislike Rave a little bit less than the rest.
I did some pay-per-view cues, which I was asking the last three guests, but you already went over if you thought Outlaw would lose and whether you thought Graham would win. So, would you like to come to my Ground Zero party?
It depends on who's at your Ground Zero party. I mean, I've already said everybody else were losers.
Uh, it's just food there. Grilled ham, cheese sammies, blue cheese salad, cocktails, that sort of thing.
I mean, probably not. I have to watch my figure to kick ass.
All right, fine. I'm just assuming if I'm going to go out there and try to match wits with Rogue and John Chaos, who are definitely going to be there no matter what number I'm in, I might as well be drunk.
I mean, you don't necessarily want to get me started on Road to John Chaos.
Well, that's the last question I have.
All right. Well, since you said don't get you started on John Chaos and Rogue, then I'll get you started on John Chaos and Rogue. So, what's the deal with John Chaos and Rogue? Why don't you like them?
I mean, Chaos, I'm still a bit on the fence about Chaos. I don't necessarily have a problem with him. I still don't like, and this is so long ago that he beat me with a roll-up before. We've had our run-ins with each other. We've been on the same side as one another. But Rogue, he just rubs me the wrong way. Like, back when, toward the end of the season, when he came out here, and he had that promo calling out John Chaos about how he was the one who hit him and attacked him. I just sort of looked at that and thought he was laughable at that point. I mean, he came out there and said that he did something that none of us would ever do, which is pretty much a load of crap. Because, I mean, what exactly are you saying none of us would ever do? Attack Chaos from behind and hide it for months? Yeah, it takes a really big man to do that. So, I mean, if that's the case, yeah, I would never do that because I'd attack him in his face and tell him, yeah, I did it. Do something about it.
And what are your thoughts about John Chaos and Rogue being entrants number 1 and number 2 in tomorrow night's Rumble match and having to stay in the match? They are immune to being thrown out of the ring, so they can't be DQ'd. The only way they can get eliminated is by DQing each other out of the match, but they also can't win either. This is the first time. This is actually not. First of all, let me just say that whoever let Rave be GM again, shame on you, because now we're getting Rave's rules again, and Rave's rules never work. They're always very awkward and just wow. And who thinks up of this stuff? But anyways, So tomorrow night, while the Ground Zero is happening, while everyone is trying to win and earn themselves a trip to go to Night of the Dead for a world title shot, you're going to have Rogue and John Chaos in the middle of the ring, in the middle of all these other people fighting. And they can be touched, they can be hit, they can be attacked by everybody, but they can't be thrown out. What are your thoughts on this?
Who? What happens if John Chaos throws out Rogue, or do they have to pin one another?
I'm guessing that if one tosses the other one out, then the other one is automatically DQ'd as well. So it'd be like a self DQ, unless they end up, you know, battling somehow, and then they both get tossed out at the same time.
I see. Well, I mean, hey, whatever's up with them is what's going on with them. In that case, I have other things to worry about in the match other than what John Chaos and Rogue are doing. I'm not even gonna look their way. Hopefully, they don't look mine, so that I won't have to kick their ass. So, I ultimately think John Chaos is gonna beat Rogue. I don't necessarily think, despite all his bolstering and his nerds follow him around, that he has what it takes to stand up to Chaos at all.
Okay, and if you happen to be actually in the Ground Zero match tomorrow night, and you're in the ring with them, you wouldn't hesitate to attack them both?
I would not hesitate to attack them both, no.
Alright, I just wanted to make that clear a night before it happens, and let people know. Alright, now we have questions from Grem, who posted these questions. His first question is, why do you sound like a little kid? John Chaos forced to take my pizza away if I didn't ask this.
I doubt John Chaos forced to take his pizza away if he didn't ask it, and I don't really know why I sound like a little kid. I don't even grow facial hair, to be honest. Yes, I'm glad.
Alright, well, let me just point this out there that I too wish that I had a voice like Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War. I don't have the greatest voice in the world either, so don't feel bad. I wish my voice was like, Dom! Get the cover now! Locust hole! I wish that was my regular voice. But anyways.
Yeah, like a Duke Nukem voice. I would love that.
Oh yeah. I would be like on commentary all day every day if I had a voice like that. But unfortunately, God didn't give me that in the cards. But you take what you get. Alright, his next question is would you ever feel like you need to go to Livewire?
Repeat that question?
His next question was, do you ever feel that you would ever need to go to Livewire?
I don't ever feel I would need to go, but again, here today, if it was for the Fed title, for hell, and I had it, and I wanted it, I'm sure I would go and take it.
Okay, fair enough. His next question is, what kind of pizza do you like?
Don't really like pizza much, but if I had to pick one, I would go with pepperonis and peppers.
Alright, and you just also answered the next question. His next question is, are you still mad that I have 2 wins against you so far?
What are his 2 wins exactly? I mean, he did win the one match that I should have won, but he managed somehow to win it. So what's the other one? I mean, if you want to go based on what happened lately, I technically threw you and Big D out of that impromptu Rumble match we had.
Okay, fair enough. His next question is, who honest of a man are you? Come on, Grim. Grim, please. It should be, how honest of a man are you on a scale from 1 to 10?
Extremely honest. 20.
Oh. Well then. All right. His next question is, if you were to team up with anyone in Contagion, who would it be and why?
Well, that's a good question. That's a tough question, actually.
Because everyone's losers, right?
Everyone, yeah, they are. I mean, it's tough because I almost want to say that, I'd go about it by myself against any tag team. But I mean, to answer the question, I guess I have to pick something. So, I'd probably give me Jack Johnson.
Any particular reason for that? His attitude, his look?
His overall attitude and his look. That's pretty much. And we like Kelly Brook, so we have that going for us.
All right. If you were to team up with anyone on Livewire, who would it be and why?
Can I pick two people?
Sure.
Buzz or Outlaw, because I don't necessarily think anybody on the show can beat either of them either.
Interesting choice. I could actually see both teaming up with Domino, as a matter of fact. All right. His next question is, out of the new blood here in QZW, who do you think has the brightest future? And I guess by new blood he means someone that hasn't quite made it yet to that main event level.
Quite a few people have the potential right now to go ahead and do it. I think I'm gonna pick Jarek.
All right, so
he's just like,
all right, you're cutting in and out again, but I did hear,
like
I did
right there, like right in front of the door, trying to bang it down. Unfortunately, he can't do it, but like I just felt like the past couple seasons, he's just been like right on the cusp of like crossing over and being that like main event star up there.
All right, you were cutting in and out there again, really bad, but I did hear Jarek, so I'm assuming that you went with Jarek on that question.
Yeah, I went with Jarek. As I said, the past couple seasons, he's been like right on the cusp of being that main event person. Like he's like right at the door and trying to cross over into it, but he can't. And so I feel like this season might be his chance.
All right, fair enough. What would make a great 10th question to ask you? He's asking you.
Why is everybody else so bad?
All right. For his 10th question, he asked, why is everyone else so bad?
Because I'm better. And they're never going to be as good as me. As much as they want to try to be, and as much as they want to say they are, they're not. Not Grim, not Gil, not Tad, not Jarek, not Chaos, who I feel is probably talking a bunch of shit right now. Nobody.
Okay, two things. Number one, look out, we got a badass over here. And number two, calm down, man. We're not playing Call of Duty right now.
I mean, I might be.
All right, well, I can see where this is coming from then. His next question is favorite TV show to watch.
That's a good question. I don't necessarily have a favorite TV show to watch. I have a favorite channel. I normally just watch like the History Channel, the Military Channel.
All right. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Razor Ramon.
All right. What is your favorite sport besides professional wrestling?
Football.
And I already know the answer to this, but your favorite team?
Packers.
Why, of course. Why, of course. Yes, indeed. His next question is, do you think Tad is mad that I posted questions late?
No, because I mean, you want to make the show as good as you can, and the more questions, the better.
Right, although he could start posting them a little bit earlier, right?
He could,
Yeah. It's kind of like,
but you know, he wants to be a church.
right, right. He wants to be Germ. It's kind of like, you have this report due, and the teacher tells you on Friday, like, okay, class, when you come back to school on Monday, that report is gonna be due. But have a great weekend, and I'll see you in class here Monday, and that'll be due on Monday. And then Grim comes into class on Monday, and right before the teacher asks for you to turn the reports in, he's finishing it in the classroom. That's kind of how I see it. Is that how you kind of see it?
I do. He's a procrastinator.
Yeah, indeed. And his last question is, what is the future of Domino now after what took place last week? And I guess he's talking about your loss to Big D.
The same thing has always been: get over it, win again, and come back and fight harder. I mean, it was just a fluke loss to Big D anyway. Unless you're forgetting all the times where I've kicked Big D's ass also. So, I mean, it's not like he went out there and demolished me.
Right, and the next thing that concludes the questions from him, and I do thank him for actually posting questions for the podcast first and foremost. But my question, and we're kind of getting to the end here, is if I were to ask you, like, wow, you lost last week to Big D in a match that could determine whether tomorrow night you got another shot at the World Championship, but you lost, would you blame it on it being like some sort of fluke, or you just weren't ready because he accepted the challenge the same night that the match was happening, like literally an hour before, so you didn't have enough prepared time for it? Or what would be the deal there?
He got lucky and won. I mean, I never like to go based on, oh, I didn't have enough time to prepare for the match, because you should always be prepared for the match, regardless of who you're facing and regardless of when you find out you're facing him. But I faced him enough to be prepared for the match. He just happened to get lucky on that particular night and won. I still feel as though he's dodging me. I mean, again, he named all these people who shouldn't even come close to vying for the title. But he wants to name them to try to be some snarky ass, which is only going to get him but so far. He knows that I should have fought for the title. I know I should have fought for the title. And as long as we both know, he's going to be the one that have to deal with that. And if I come into the match and I win the match, he can't dodge me anymore. I mean, it's just a matter of troop. How much he dodged me and dodged me and ducked me and ducked me until at that point he couldn't duck me anymore. And he eventually lost also, and it's the same thing that's going to happen to Big D.
All right. We're going to do a bit of word association to end it off here. So I will give you a list of things, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. All right, first up, and actually this is going to be a QZW edition, so it's just going to be superstars, names that I bring up. And you just tell me the first thing that you think of. All right, so the first one is going to be...
Okay.
All right, first one is going to be Gil Thunderstrike.
Loser.
Grim.
Bigger loser.
John Chaos.
say I'm a lesser loser than Graham.
Not as big a loser, but he's lame and needs to just shut up before he gets punched in the mouth.
Big D.
Asshole loser.
Outlaw.
A loser compared to me, but apparently the best thing going on Livewire, unfortunately for all of them.
Spence.
Who?
The Green Void.
Joke.
Far Beyond Better.
All losers.
Jarek Vanders.
Loser.
Glit Nermine. I'm assuming that was answer. Okay.
Alien.
All right. I'll take that as an answer. Just a simple laugh. The Reich and her Wolfgang and General Duskull.
Douches.
Okay. Big Bob.
Special.
Virgil.
Crackhead.
The Dude.
Awesome.
That is the first positive thing I've heard you say all podcast. The Dude.
The dude's always been on Domino's side. I mean,
Well, how about that? All right. Leo Reigns.
unfortunate.
Eddie Cool.
I hate Eddie Cool.
Trent Rain.
Trent's a loser.
Rainer Crimson.
Seriously?
I'll take that as an answer. The Dead Zone.
Didn't I beat them?
I'll take that as an answer. I'm afraid to go here, but the Shimmer roster.
Okay, what do they do? Just lay on their back, right?
Oh boy, I knew I shouldn't have brought that one up. Justin Sane and Donovan Payne, Pentakill, the Contagion Tag Champs.
Okay, they're losers too. I mean, just because they have the tag titles, they just have the tag titles amongst a bunch of losers.
Mr. Troop.
I hate Troop probably as much as I hate Eddie Cool.
Norns.
He needs to go back to Livewire because he can't cut it up here.
Showtime Brooks.
He's never gonna make it either.
Tad Peters.
Hiding.
You know, actually,
I'm down.
okay, I was gonna say I liked that, and then until that, Thaddeus.
I wish he'd come back.
Me too. I could finally be booked. Duke Dice.
He's a whiner.
Justin Rom.
Rom? What is Rom even still doing around?
I ask myself that all the time. Snowman.
Man, troll.
Rave.
You know, Rom is like the Undertaker. Like, he just for the Rumble, and then that's it.
Oh, so he should be the Romer taker.
Probably. I mean, he'd probably get somewhere at that point.
Okay. Rave.
Confused.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Uh, Rogue.
Absolute idiot. And a whiner also. I mean, not to just steer this off course, but I still remember back when him and his butt buddy Duke Dice whined because I beat him in the U.S. title match, and they ultimately got a handicap match against me because they couldn't be in the match.
Nathan Moore.
Odd.
Okay. I think. Is there any that you would like to add? This is a fill in the blank. Is there one that you would like a word association, or do you think I got it covered?
Mr. Jones. Creepy.
Chris Jones, creepy. Okay. Oh, by the way, yes, I gotta ask you this. I gotta ask your opinion on this because everyone has their opinions on what's gonna happen tomorrow night in that TV title match. It's gonna be Chris Jones defending his TV title against Big Bob. Who do you think is gonna walk out the winner in that one?
Jones versus who?
Chris Jones versus Big Bob for the TV title. It's actually booked for tomorrow. Who's actually going to walk out as the winner, in your opinion?
Unfortunately, it's likely going to be Jones.
All right, so you're pulling for Jones to retain the title once again?
Yeah, he's going to beat Bob, easy.
Okay, and I guess that's it. Do you have anything else that you would like to add? Anything that we might have missed that you want to discuss, or anything, any shout-outs or anything like that? This is your time to do so.
I want to shout out myself because nobody else is good enough to be shouted out by me. I want to say that I am going to be in the Ground Zero match, and I am going to win, so unfortunately for all of you, I guess it's time to whine and cry for another title shot like we do every year. After you don't win and have a shitty showing in the match, you guys know who you are.
Okay, there you go. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Domino himself, the honest man. Oh, one other thing. You've had the same theme song for a long time now. Has that just literally just become seriously a part of your character, or have you ever thought of maybe changing it? Did you get that?
I thought
Oh,
at times I thought about changing it, but, you know, I can never really find one good enough to fit him as that one does so much. So, and like I love it. It's grown on me tremendously. I liked it when I first heard it, so I don't necessarily feel I have to change it. I think people change their themes entirely too much as it is.
I would actually agree with you on that. Um, a lot of people just need to stop and smell the roses on what theme they actually do have. A lot of people do go through so many themes. I don't want to point anybody out, point any fingers, but one that immediately comes to mind is Jack Johnson. I mean, he's been through like five different song changes, and they've all been very good. But he shouldn't have switched them out so early. Sometimes people just need to sit and ride it out. People like the Slasher and you, for example, just have themes that are just really good that should really honestly never be changed out. And the same goes for people in real life that wrestle too. I mean, look at Jericho. He's had some songs that have changed a little bit, or maybe used something for one or two times, but then he always went back to the same one. So there's real life instances of that happening as well, where the theme is just so good, why change it?
I sort of want one of those moments where, like years down the line, and you hear it, then you're like, oh, there's Domino coming out. As opposed to you hear something and it's like, oh, who the fuck is this?
Exactly. But all right, that'll do it for the podcast. Thanks for joining us. We got the QZW report coming up next. You feel free to join us for that if you want. Otherwise, thanks for being on, and good luck in Ground Zero tomorrow.
Thanks. Later, losers.
All right. Well, Gil, we are officially losers as we start the QZW report. How do you feel about that?
Just to go on record, you can point fingers at me for changing theme songs, because I do that.
Yeah, but not like every 6 months or something like that. You've only had like 2 songs, right?
3.
Yeah, in the span of how long that
What?
you've been on the main roster? That's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, I don't. I still listen to all the themes I have. I actually have the Thunderstruck on my iPod, but I really like the one I have now. I think it's a top level theme. And also, I thought that after I found someone did a big old animation of it, which looks fucking like an acid trip. But yes, QZW. It was awesome.
The Go Home Show.
Oh, right. I have to actually go to the blog now. It's not in the forums.
Nope.
Okay, hey, we start off with Shimmer. We saw Choo Choo Sama defeat Faith Rogers in a serviceable match. 2.5 stars.
The only question I have about
Tweeting.
this, yeah, right. Someone tweeted just now. Thank you, whoever that was. The only question I have about this Chushu Sama character is that I hope whoever or whenever someone sees Vice Rosewater on Twitch or wherever, that someone lets him know that his character is being used, because I haven't seen him at a single QZW ever.
Just like Faith Rogers and whoever owns her. Miss you, Blake. Then we had Lita getting double teamed. No, wait, no, I'm sorry. Julie got double teamed by Lita and AJ Lee. AJ Lita. 1.5 stars. Come on, fight fair. And then we had the debut of the mysterious zebra-printed Riley from the zebra-printed family line, whoever they may be. Perhaps they are African. Unfortunately, she was defeated by Allison Kay, and I feel sort of bad that I actually had to look up who Allison Kay was.
Allison Kay is an awesome wrestler, and she's also very cute. And she's also been involved in a tag team and stable with Jessica Havoc. She's heavily involved in WSU.
Yeah. I almost thought it was Havoc the first time I saw her. I'll be honest, something happened in real life in Japan that makes me really uneasy to see these women go all out. Basically, someone broke someone's orbital bone on purpose, so it's just a little uneasy for me reviewing the women's matches after seeing some graphic footage. But this was a good match.
Okay, so who was
Riley,
that?
She did not get the win.
Was it a chick?
It was 2 women. A woman named Yoshiko basically broke the star act. I don't remember her last name. Urasawa. Orbital bone, gave her a concussion. Her eyes were too swollen to actually type, so she had to have her mother type it. Very bloody. It's all over the internet right now. 3 stars for Allison Kay versus Riley. Then we went on to Contagion, where we had a blood match. I know I just said I'm squeamish around blood, but I just love blood force matches on where they're 6-man first blood. I love that kind of match in the virtual world, so I'm sort of a hypocrite, but okay. William James won, meaning, unfortunately, this matchup was completely meaningless as everyone got a title shot against the Chaos, but is this the first time we've seen Chaos lose?
It's the first time I can think of that Chaos has lost in a long time, but I think more importantly that this match was more of a preview match to get everyone all geared up for the same exact match when the title's on the line.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I would give it 4 stars because I just love multi-man first blood matches because of the unpredictability of it all. What do you think about first blood matches that are multi-man?
You don't ever really see them that often, so it was a welcome change to see a stipulation like that added to an episode of QZW.
Next up, we had the Florida Hit Squad take on Pentakill, and in an amazing feat, neither team came out to the corporation theme.
Right? Yeah.
And Florida Hit Squad won, so, geez, the tag champions in the last, well, if you count both sides of the tag champions, they don't have a very good record at the moment. The last 2 months, the Livewire champions haven't recorded a win, and the not Mayhem, is it Contagion champions have just lost 3 straight. So very interesting.
Easy there, MUW. Also, I'd like to point out that the Florida Hit Squad now have pinned wins over the Killer Clowns and Pentakill in tag matches.
Okay. By the way, that was 3 stars. And then tag team match. Holla. It was Graham and Jack Johnson over Razor Sharp and Josh D. I got a question. Can you remember the last time a member of Far Beyond Better won a match? Was it really that first Showtime Brooks versus Green Void match?
I would have to sit and think about it. I'm sure someone in the chat probably knows a lot quicker than us two. But I would also like to point out that this match in particular ended very early. It was like a very quick match.
Yes, it did. I just find it interesting from a outsider stance that Far Beyond Better is making waves, but not picking up the wins. Sort of like the old, what was that, Dead Zone before Tad Peters went God mode. I think Jack Johnson pinned Razor with the JKO. There was a lot of JKO wins here because Florida Hit Squad won with the JKO, and I think someone else won with the JKO. I think it was Jarek.
Yeah, Jarek did.
So, JKO out of nowhere.
Indeed.
And unfortunately, I can't give this much of a rating, 2 stars, because it was short. And then Big D versus Domino, which I consider to be the match of the night. 4.5 stars, 2 heavyweights colliding, and this time Big D was just good enough to win this time. Livewire, I missed the dark matches. I don't remember who was in it, and it looks like Kenji won, so yay Kenji. Who names their kid Bandon?
I don't know. It was a guy that was making his first ever match. In fact, he came out of the power plant just 10 minutes before the show went on the air, so he was fresh, straight out of the power plant, out of the dungeon, into a dark match. So we'll see where Bandon Lane goes, part of the new breed in QZW.
Hopefully not the way of ECW's new breed. Oh, I did see the last dark match. It was Jay Wilson over everyone else. Great to see Tank back and out of the hospital. Danny Chambers sort of slipped down the card, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been talking about he's been talking about getting in Ground Zero, and it was a Ground Zero over the top rope 6-man. So maybe he was just trying to get his practice in before tomorrow night.
It didn't. Cole Rayner defeated Max Height in a matchup where I can't believe Cole won, because I thought Max Height was doing a great job of beating him down, but nope, reverse pin, Cole wins.
As Cole Rayner,
dude made the big point,
Go ahead.
We need to find new blood for this guy because he's been doing pretty good with who he's got.
Yeah, as I would also like to point out that Cole Rayner has suddenly, over time, become one of the most imposing champions in all of QZW, alongside the obvious Chris Jones and Outlaw.
But, it's that people like Cole.
Right.
Unless he constantly beats Villano. That might get him there. But next up we had Fat Shuffler demolishing Mike Burke in a matchup that lasted 10 minutes longer than it should have. because Fat Shuffler just wouldn't roll him in the ring and pin him. The last match, the Culminator match got 3 stars. This match got 2 stars because it was just a long beatdown that we couldn't see. Thank you, Big Bob.
Yeah, Mike Burke tried to one up Fat Shuffler by entering the ring through the crowd, but it didn't matter. Fat Shuffler beat him again, and continues to embarrass Mike Burke.
And then we had another tag team match that I think also ended pretty early. It was the, I believe they would call themselves the Soldiers of Fortune, taking on Nieto and Martin Starr. I know Jarek has his big matchup, but I haven't seen Jarek with Martin a lot. I hope that things aren't going too bad for them.
I'm sure they aren't. I think just Jarek is focused on his solo career right now, and Martin Starr had his shot, and he just couldn't win it when he was supposed to, and he's just tasting the bittersweet feelings of defeat until he gets another chance at redemption. And right now he's just kind of in that limbo stage right now. But he did find help from another champion that did need help. So at least he's still being Rise Star against bullying, right?
Well, help is in quotation since Nieto I think got bitten by Carter very early on with the DRC. But still good. Do love tag matches. 2.5 stars. Then we had the matchup where I was so sure Hardcore was going to lose because it always seems like he loses and the dude rages. But no, Joseph Hardcore and DJ Silva had an all-out brawl, which ended with Hardcore winning. I can't remember the last time Hardcore won a match or got cheers.
Me neither, but he is now the star here at Zombchicken, and the dude will continue to praise him, and so will this version of Tad. So yes to Joseph Hardcore, and it's nothing against DJ Silva. Just saying, it's just that when you face Joseph Hardcore in a match now, prepare to get booed.
Question: Hardcore, does he qualify for Cruiserweight?
Yes.
Could be a potential matchup there. And the main event, which I'm considering the upset of the night, just because I really expected Green Void to win, and he didn't here. But Jarek Vander's really proving that he deserves this title shot. I was thinking well, geez, why is Raji, Brooks, and Vanders getting this title shot, this 6-man title shot? But Vanders made his case here that maybe he should be a top contender. And as for Brooks, the slide continues. Raji, he fails to get he falls behind to Jarek, and the Green Void train has been stopped. Outside of Outlaw, who I don't think even had a match, I think all of his challengers are going into the match on a losing streak except for Vanders.
Yep.
3 3/4 stars.
Buzz hasn't had a match since the title shot. Green Void has been impressive, but only in singles matches. This match last week he did lose, but outside of that he's been winning regularly. Jarek Vanders and Raji actually haven't had that many matches the past few weeks. Not as compared to the Green Void has been in action. And Brooks has just kind of been Brooks. He did lose to the Green Void. He was one of the victims of the Green Void solo matches. But Outlaw has not had a match since he last defended, and neither has Buzz. But Buzz was there, and actually, so they were both there last week in the arena. They both had segments.
Now there was many other segments, such as with me and Jen attacking Far Beyond Better, after being told that Far Beyond Better would sit on their keisters. But, I've learned to put that behind me, because there's a more important goal at the moment, which is Ground Zero. You ready to talk about that?
Yeah, but real quick, you brought up Far Beyond Better talking about how they would just sit on the titles and never defend them unless they were absolutely told to. If you think about it, that's really what defines a defending and fighting champion against a champion who goes by the books. So can you blame them for taking that route? If you're next in line to possibly get the title, I can see where you can be a little upset about that. But if you're a bystander on the outside looking in, you may be a little annoyed about that. But they're not doing technically anything wrong, and until they're absolutely told that and booked in that position, they don't have to go out of their way to say, hey, here's a shot. In fact, a lot of people in other title divisions should feel lucky that there's someone like a Big D who would go out and approach Domino and say, hey, look, if you can beat me, I'll give you a shot next week, because he technically didn't have to do that. But we see that a lot around QZW where champions are willing to. Case in point, another one in Yeto. And Yeto was another one who said, Doug Bever's here, let's have a shot and I'll beat you, blah, blah, blah. So we see that a lot more than, honestly, we should if you go by the books. And also, to point out, I think, actually, in fact, Luke Cranfield and Ace Spades were visited by James Earl Cash during last week's show, and the Reich cut a promo that were laughing at everybody else in the division. So everybody that's involved in that tag team quandary was featured last week.
I did lower my accusations when I realized the last 7 live wires has not gone exactly according to plan for Far Beyond Better. They lost. Then they had that thing at the last pay-per-view where they helped Razor. Then they lost, got punked by the Bikers, and then got punked by us. So, yeah, if I was in Far Beyond Better's shoes as an outsider, I was like, yeah, I don't want to put my job. I'd be a little bit hesitant to put the job on the line until I got some wins on.
Thing is, also, if you were the person to make that decision, then who would you force them to put the titles against to begin with? All 3 challenging teams have a point of being first in line to get the shot. So it's not like, okay, we're just going to put...
Gauntlet match.
Well, let's talk to freaking 2K about adding that in, shall we? Next year.
I'm sure you can do it with CAS. With 3 matches, you can make all sorts of timelines, and you can just have it that way. But I don't mean like John, like the champions have to face all 3 in the ring. It could be like whoever they think is 3 and 2, they face, and then they face number 1, and then the winners face the champions. Just anything, because the titles have been defended in the last 3 pay-per-views.
Well, I mean, there's a series of different ways of going about it, but I honestly think that Far Beyond Better is just, when it comes down to it, I think they're just having a funny, good old time, slapping their knees and laughing at how everybody else is getting aggravated that they haven't defended in so long. That's their shtick right now, and it's obviously working.
But they weren't laughing when they were on the ground getting punted.
They weren't, but once they recovered, they rubbed their smooth bellies that contain those tag belts. Once it was said and done, though.
All right, well, enough of me whining. We get enough of that on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Do we even have 30 women in Shimmer?
I don't know.
I think I counted 28 last time, but I could be wrong.
If we don't, we'll probably have 30 tomorrow night. Spoiler alert.
Well, as you know, Ground Zero, winner gets a shot at Jessica Havoc or Rashter or Yamashita Miharu, depending on who wins the later match. I'm trying to think who would be the best to win a Shimmer match. And obviously my go-to pick isn't in it because she's in the Women's Championship match. So, I gotta wonder, there's not gonna be any alliances because, title. I am going to say Riley because of the unknown factor.
Everyone has speculations about her, and some people honestly do feel that she's somehow related to the Thaddeus family. A lot of people have been throwing that out there, but it hasn't been 100% confirmed yet.
Yeah, Swerve is going to be part of Jake Rogers' dynasty because everyone is related to Jake Rogers.
Except Jake Rogers, since he hasn't been booked in Season 3 yet.
Maybe it's Jake Rogers after a sex change.
Maybe it's John Chaos after his sex change.
But that means he would be in 2 Rumbles. And he wouldn't get to beat up Rogue on both of them.
Hmm. Well, we always know how John Chaos wants to join Shimmer. Never know.
Your pick for the winner?
Uh. It's tough. I don't know. I will just put it out there that uh, I really don't know. I really don't have an answer for this. I'll just say uh, Kyo, I guess. I don't know.
Alright, the next matchup is, well, I'm just going to keep it on Shimmer for now. The 3-way Women's Championship. Rasher, Yamashita Maharu, and Jessica Havoc. Havoc was not happy about having to deal with a 3-way. Perhaps the fact that she loses her championship advantage as she can be pinned without... She can lose the title without being pinned or submitted. Obviously, I'm biased, so I'll go with Miharu. But, Rasher definitely has a case. She's pinned Miharu, and she's never faced Havoc. Havoc has a win over Miharu, so Miharu is sort of the little bit of an underdog here, but she does know how to isolate an opponent in a multi-man match, so it could go either way. But like I said, I'm biased.
You know, I think Jessica Havoc is going to retain. But I would like to see Rasher win, but I think Jessica Havoc is going to retain. So that's my pick.
So in my scenario, I would have Riley versus Miharu, and in your situation, you would have Kyo versus Havoc. So those are two wildly different matches, I would say.
Yeah. And we both could be wrong.
Next up is, well, seeing as one has a 1 in 30 chance of being right, we probably are wrong. Next up is the 6-man elimination match for the hardcore title. Chaos and all the others. It's a hardcore championship, so Chaos is obviously the favorite. I will go with Dr. Payne, because I like Dr. Payne at the moment. There's really no way to pick a winner here, other than Chaos has won all the rest of the matches, except for that one. But I think Dr. Payne has a plan.
I agree with you, although I think Chaos is going to retain as well. I think he's going to take the belt home again, once again, but I would like to see Dr. Payne win.
Oh, dear. Okay, Oh, sorry, you cut out for me again.
I said that I think Chaos is going to retain, but I would like to see Dr. Payne win.
Alright, the next matchup is the TV title match. Chris Jones versus Big Bob. And Chris Jones is placed its total dominance versus a complete unknown. I believe I heard a saying once, the greatest gunslinger never has to fear the second greatest. It's a complete amateur, because you never know what that amateur is going to do to win. And we don't know what Big Bob might do to win. And I don't think Chris Jones knows what Big Bob is going to do to win. So I will pick Big Bob and back the unknown factor.
I think that's just a glorified way of saying you don't like Chris Jones and anyone can take the belt off of him, even if it means Big Bob. So, as far as...
Well, yeah, that is true.
Okay. My thing is the same as every other match so far that I've talked about. I think Chris Jones is going to retain, but I would like to see Big Bob win. Unless I cut out again.
No, I'm trying to freakishly get output for my program because it's due in half an hour. The Young Lions Championship. The Knight versus Sid Phoenix. I have no idea. I'll flip a coin. Came up heads. I'll pick the Knight. Because I just don't understand. I don't really know how to analyze this match.
Well, Sid Phoenix won the right to become #1 contender. He also won the right for this title match. but he's not acting like he's too interested in actually wanting the match. In fact, the Knight had to come up to him. Again, another point of champions being really generous when it comes to title shots in QZW. The Knight came up to him last week and said, "Hey, dude, bro, yo, sup? You're my number one contender, but you haven't even came to me and or even attacked me or said anything about me. What's up? You want the match or not?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I'll take the match." So the match is booked, but Sid Phoenix doesn't act like he's really cares about it too much. Everyone has always complained about the Knight being Young Lions champion too long. It's been like that for over a year now. As far as my prediction for this, I don't really know. I'm the same way. I don't really know how to take this match because it's never that often where you, if at all, where you ever see a challenger come into a title match and not really act like he cares too much about being in the match. So it's kind of hard to back Sid Phoenix when he acts the way he does, and it's kind of hard to back the Knight when you know everybody wants the Knight to lose the belt and finally go somewhere else. But I will say this, I will back the Knight, and I continue to support the Knight by being Young Lions champion. And like I said, I think on last week's podcast, or maybe it was the dude on QZW that said that for every week that the Knight continues to carry the belt, he proves that he's the right man for the job because he can't be beaten. And when you can't be beaten, you're proving time and time again, title match or not, well, obviously title match, that you deserve to be the right man at the right place at the right time. And he has done that for a long time now. So why punish him for that when he's dominating in the right place? So I'll go with the Knight with another retain. And maybe someday someone will come along that is a better competitor at the right place at the right time. There's a lot of young lions in QZW that's waiting for their shot, so who knows?
United States Championship, Nieto versus Doug Bevers. I faced Doug Bevers. I've beaten Doug Bevers. I faced Nieto and beat him too. I have to think Doug Bevers is bringing Sean Carter to ringside, and I think Sean Carter's wouldn't be the it factor here, and so I'm going to give it to Doug, but I don't like it.
I'm going to go with Nieto on a retain. Not for any other reason other than that I just enjoy seeing Nieto as the U.S. champion. I know Doug Bevers is fighting for his social status in QZW because apparently he finally found someone who will consider him a friend or put up with him or whatever backstage. So he's doing everything he can to fit in when it comes to Sean Carter. And obviously Sean Carter has got a lot of backstory when it comes to the U.S. title. So he would love to either himself have it or someone that he's friends with have the belt. So they're both kind of fighting for different things in this match. But at the end, I would like to see Nieto retain. And I'm now noticing that pretty much all of my matches are retains for tomorrow night.
Which means they're doomed to failure.
Most likely.
QZW title match. It is Outlaw, Raji, Vanders, Void, Brooks, and Buzz. Oh dear. People know I'm not a big fan of Vanders. I'm going to pick Vanders because I really was impressed in his last matchup. I think he's going to pull it out. And I hope he does it, because I don't like being wrong. I think Vanders has the combination of youth and skill, and I think he's going to be too young for the old people and too skilled for the people that he's worked with. I don't see Vanders losing this one. I think he's going to make history and be the first, get his first title belt here.
I'm going to repeat what I said the last time. I think Raji is coming into this thing with a bag full of tricks. I think he's going to let them all out for this match in this one moment, and he's going to surprise everybody, and he will walk out with his first world champion-esque title in his career. He will win. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Outlaw walks out with a retain.
All right, it's time for the Royal Rumble match. I forgot. Where's the list? We have confirmed entrants: Jaquese and Rogue, not winning. With Norns, Josh D, Graham, Duke Dice, Spence, Green Void, Butcher Pete, Jack Johnson, Vlad Alucard, Max Crimson, Mac Razor Sharp, Gil Thunderstrike, Leo Reigns, Domino, Zach Hero, Brandon Richards, Hair Wolfgang. I thought he said he wasn't going to be in. Justin Rom, Insectoid, Lil Jack, Slasher, Tuss Blubberson, Raji, Jarek Vanders. Ooh, Jarek Vanders could be going for two titles. Rambone Chain, Mike Metal, Scotty Hollywood, Joseph Hardcore. I actually had a practice match with Max Height, so he's probably going to try to enter. And more. If I can't pick myself, out of those people, well, I gotta say Grem. I think Grem's going to win.
I'm gonna go with her Wolfgang. Sorry.
Actually, I really thought when I asked last time, how many people are going to be throwing Hair Wolfgang over, you said 0, and I replied, oh, he's not in. And then he just didn't respond at all, so it's just that, yeah, he's probably not in because we have so many people wanting to go in this year. But, alright, that's the QCW report.
Alright, well, I want to thank Domino for joining us on this episode of the Zombie Talk podcast. Got to learn a lot of new information about Domino, and thank you for signing up and joining, and thanks, Gil, for the QZW report. We will see you tomorrow night for Ground Zero, starting with the in-game matches first. We'll be starting a couple hours early, so be here 2 hours early just to be on the safe side. If you can't be here 2 hours early, then by the time you come here for the regularly scheduled time, then by that time the actual Rumble match, chat match, will have started. So either way, you're in a win-win. So yeah, just plan on being here early if you can. If you can't, just get here as early as you can. That's all I got to say about that, because we all know how long the chat matches start, so I'm going to try to start a little bit early this year. As far as the empty remaining slots that are in the participants, consider those mysteries, but I can guarantee you this, that all 40 have been figured out, and I know them. And in fact, only I know them. So this should be a lot of fun, and I hope to see everybody there tomorrow night. Should be a blast, as the annual Royal Rumble match usually is. That being said, one last thing, and then we will cut her down. A lot of people have been asking to be guests on the Zombie Talk podcast. As you know, this is the last podcast in the month of February. Next time will be March. I have already got a ton of people asking me, requesting to be on the show. But if you would like to be featured on the show, go ahead and send me a Skype PM and remind me and let me know. And if I get time to squeeze you in, I will contact you and let you know which date would work best for you in the month of March. This is open to anyone who wants to join in and be on the podcast. All you need is a microphone and a raid call. So, both of which, obviously everybody should have. That being said, thanks everybody for watching and listening to the Zombie Talk podcast. Coming up later is supposed to be H1Z1. It will probably happen, but there's probably going to be a bit of a hiatus in between. But here on Zombchicken, there will be an H1Z1 stream. There will be one. Despite my 24 hours of Resident Evil yesterday, yes, I am back a day later with more streams. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. H1Z1 a little bit later. Ground Zero tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.